Here's another home improvement tip from Todd and Todd.
Todd, here we are at a home that's only 10 years old, and this homeowner has a dilemma. As you can see, they have a seal failure, which is the fogging up or containment of moisture that develops in between a piece of glass. And the dilemma is, what should they do about it to fix it? Should they spend the money to go ahead and order a new double pane or triple pane piece of glass to put into the same frame all the way around, or should they replace the window entirely? What do we do in these situations?
Well, it's a big problem for homeowners to face, because it's a lot more costly to replace the window than it is just a piece of glass. But you really have to start to think about, does it make sense to replace just this piece of glass? As you can see, this is fogged up now. It's an outdated design, and what you're looking at is a 10-year-old window that has started to fail.
Right.
Okay, so you want to start to look at other things that are going wrong with this window to help you make that decision.
Correct.
For example, if we take a closer look at this window, we can see a couple telltale signs where this window's in trouble. One of the things you can see is that in the corners and the joints, there are areas that have separated here that haven't been maintained, and these are taking in water. So likely this is starting to rot inside. If you take a look on this other side here, you can see the evidence right here on the corner where the water is actually soaked through. Even though this is a clad window, Todd, it still has little minute areas for water to get in. It soaks into that wood, and it simply wicks up to the top. This is black and soft now.
Right.
Probably only going to be another year or two before this is completely rotted. So the question you want to ask yourself, does it make sense to put any more money into this, with this window likely going to be a total failure within a few more years?
Todd, one of the questions that a lot of customers have is just how does that seal failure occur? What is that fog all about? Well, it occurs for a couple different reasons. One of the simple answers to seal failure is that there's a difference between the outside atmospheric pressure and the inside house pressure. The two pieces of glass, or in some cases if it's triple pane glass, actually expand and contract daily. They're pushing in and out together, and what happens is, between the piece of glass and the spacer bar, which is generally a piece of metal of some sort that keeps the two pieces of glass apart, as that glass expands and contracts, it's constantly pulling on the sealant that keeps the window from filling up with air. That sealant can only last so long as those two pieces of glass are pulling, expanding and contracting every day. Hence the word seal failure. When that sealant fails at some point, the air penetrates the inside of the pieces of glass, and when the air goes in, moisture goes in between. Moisture is what we see then develop. Sometimes it streaks, sometimes it gets cloudy, sometimes it's just tiny little spots that are hard to see. An individual might be cleaning their glass and they can't clean the spots, and they wonder what's wrong. Likely a seal failure is starting to occur. Another thing that happens is with inside moisture with wood windows, that pine wood absorbs the moisture in. Okay, you mentioned a little earlier about moisture penetrating the aluminum and vinyl cladding, these tiny cracks that develop on the outside of the windows. Anywhere we have moisture penetrating into that pine wood, there's freezing and thawing in the wintertime. Again, not quite on a daily basis, but a lot of expansion and contraction. That creates problems as well with the sealant around the perimeter of the window, and therefore seal failure.
Okay, so in this case, you have a seal failure, but you have a rotting window. It doesn't make sense to hold on to this window and just replace the glass. It really should be replaced. So when you do, you want to make sure to look for an upgrade in glass, not what this was. This is 10 years old, but it's also a builder's grade window. It's not a state-of-the-art technology, and it's a 10-year-old technology.
Right.
So there are different types of spacer systems designed not to last 4 or 5 or 6 years, but to last 70 years. So when you go to replace your window, you want to make a permanent project out of it so you don't ever have to do it again.
Right. So if you have a piece of glass that looks like it has seal failure occurring, whether it's spots or if it looks like there's fog or streaks developing in the glass, just go ahead and fill out the form right here on our website or give us a call. We'd be happy to stop by and see if we can help.